If you've heard of the Amazon but never known about this place, then you may have just uncovered a natural gem long hidden from view. A land born to live with fire. Yet it provides 70% of the water that feeds South America's major river basins. More than 15,000 maned wolves. Strange creatures with the body of a wolf, the face of a fox, and legs as slender as an antelope call this place home. But the jaguar stands at the top of the food chain here, silent, commanding, and unmatched. Before we meet the next incredible creatures, let us know where you're watching from in the comments below. And now, join us as we explore. Cerrado, survival secrets of the world's hidden savanna. The Cerrado spans nearly 2 million square kilometers, covering over 21% of Brazil's territory. It winds through many states such as Goiás, Mato Grosso, Tocantins, Minas Gerais, and Maranhão, and even lightly extends into Bolivia and Paraguay. Though this landlocked region touches no ocean, it serves as a vast natural reservoir, giving rise to and sustaining 8 of Brazil's 12 largest rivers, including the Amazon and the São Francisco. The Cerrado's quiet presence subtly orchestrates underground water flows and plays a vital role in shaping the surrounding ecosystems. The Cerrado has a tropical semi-humid climate marked by 2 distinct seasons. The rainy season lasts from October to April, bringing an average annual rainfall of about 1,200 to 2,000 millimeters. In contrast, the dry season stretches from May to September, bringing barely a drop of rain, with daytime temperatures soaring above 30 degrees Celsius and nights turning suddenly chilly. This is home to over 10,000 plant species, nearly 50% of which are found nowhere else on Earth. As many as 935 bird species have been recorded here. In addition, the Cerrado shelters around 200 mammal species, more than 270 types of reptiles and amphibians, along with tens of thousands of insect species. Every element, no matter how small, holds an irreplaceable link in this vast web of ecological balance. Like the beat of a dry, distant drum, the Cerrado enters the dry season with a dramatic yet silent transformation. From May to September, rainfall drops below 50 millimeters per month, humidity falls under 30%, and daytime temperatures often rise above 35 degrees Celsius. Under these conditions, the ecosystem reveals its remarkable adaptations. Plants with thick bark, deep roots, and the ability to regenerate after fire. Wildlife developing distinct survival strategies. Even so, protected areas like Chapada dos Veadeiros and Emas National Parks continue to serve as vital refuges and recovery zones for many species during the dry season. Located in central Brazil, Emas National Park stretches across 1,320 square kilometers within the Cerrado ecosystem. This area is mostly covered by low grasslands with hardly any shrubs or trees. The soil here is thin, highly acidic, and low in nutrients. The extended dry season makes the region prone to wildfires, yet these fires play an important ecological role by triggering plant regeneration and helping maintain ecosystem balance. It is an ideal habitat for small grazers, burrowing animals, seed-eating birds, and predators, forming a rich biological structure even in such a harsh environment. In the scorching heat of the Cerrado, one of the most remarkable creatures of these arid plains, the greater rhea, begins its challenging journey of survival in Emas National Park. They are the largest native bird species in the Americas and rank among the largest birds in the world. Standing between 1.2 and 1.7 meters tall and weighing anywhere from 20 to 40 kilograms, the greater rhea can run at speeds of up to 60 kilometers per hour, fast enough to evade most predators. Its long, sturdy legs work in tandem with wings that act like rudders, helping it maintain balance during sudden turns. It's a perfect blend of speed and strategy in an unforgiving environment like the Cerrado. Not only are greater rheas fast runners, but they're also skilled swimmers. They use their necks and wings to move through streams and shallow waters scattered across the savanna. In the intense dryness of the Campos Limpos, this swimming ability helps them reach the few remaining water sources. Their three-toed feet, unlike the four toes found in most other bird species, are an evolutionary trait well suited for quick movement across dry and uneven terrain. But what truly sets the greater rhea apart isn't just its physical ability. Unlike many other bird species, it's the male that takes on the nesting role. After building a nest on the ground, the male attracts up to 12 females to lay eggs in it, with a single nest holding as many as 50 eggs. Once the females leave, the male stays behind to incubate the eggs for 35 to 40 days, then continues to care for the chicks for up to half a year. He not only protects them from predators, but may even adopt and care for stray chicks that have lost their way. Outside the breeding season, greater rheas live in flocks ranging from 10 to 100 individuals, depending on environmental conditions. Their flexible diet is a clear advantage for survival. As omnivores, greater rheas feed on a wide variety of plant materials such as broad leaves, grasses, seeds, and fruits, as well as small animals like insects, lizards, frogs, and even young birds. They also swallow small stones to help break down fibrous plant matter in their stomachs, much like chickens or ostriches do. During the dry season, when green vegetation becomes scarce, they gradually shift toward protein-rich sources like insects or whatever wild fruits remain. In its journey of survival at Emas National Park, the greater rhea plays a vital role in the biological structure of the Cerrado, serving as a seed disperser, helping maintain species balance, and quietly moving between the dry and rainy seasons. In a place where the silence of fire can consume entire fields, the footsteps of the greater rhea echo like a drumbeat of resilience and the instinct to endure. The dry grasslands of Brazil hold more than just the footprints of the greater rhea. The pampas deer, a slender, small-bodied species, still quietly roams the cracked red earth of Emas National Park. Standing only about 70 centimeters tall and weighing between 20 and 30 kilograms, the pampas deer has a golden brown coat that doesn't change with the seasons, allowing it to blend almost perfectly into the sun-scorched grasslands. Males carry small, three-pronged antlers that are shed around August or September, while females sometimes display a unique swirl of fur on their forehead, a rare biological trait among deer species. Despite their delicate appearance, they are true survival experts. When vegetation withers, pampas deer don't wait for luck. They stay on the move, carefully selecting tender grasses and flowering herbaceous plants. During the rainy season, grasses make up as much as 20% of their diet, but when the dry season hits, they shift to leaves, shoots, and even bark. Anything that still holds a trace of moisture, a wise choice in the face of harsh conditions. Instead of retreating into dense forests, this deer chooses to live in open savannas and tall grasslands. When threatened, it lies completely still, a silent prayer offered to the wild. If escape becomes necessary, it can sprint up to 50 kilometers per hour, though it often glances back, a curious reflex rooted in instinct, yet one that can also expose a moment of vulnerability to its predators. The social life of the pampas deer is fluid and ever-changing. During the dry season, they live alone or in pairs, but in the rainy months, they may gather in groups of up to 50 individuals, with males often moving between herds. At Emas National Park, an estimated 1,000 to 1,300 individuals have remained relatively stable over the past 2 decades. The pampas deer is a living testament to resilience, humility, and quiet grace, a message perhaps whispered by the Creator through each gentle step they take across the heart of the Cerrado. With its fierce appearance, the maned wolf might easily be mistaken for a fearsome predator. With a fiery red coat, pointed face, and long, stilt-like legs, the maned wolf is neither fox nor wolf. In fact, it isn't a true carnivore and tends to live a quiet, solitary life, keeping its distance from humans. It is the sole species in the genus Chrysochaeon, carrying a uniquely isolated evolutionary branch that has stood apart for millions of years within the broader Canidae family. Standing up to 90 centimeters tall at the shoulder, taller than the gray wolf, the maned wolf is perfectly built to move through the tall grasses of the Cerrado. Its large ears can rotate independently, allowing it to pinpoint the movements of small prey hidden in the thick vegetation, especially useful during twilight hours or at night. The maned wolf has a highly flexible diet. During the dry season, its meals shift heavily toward plant-based foods, especially the wolf apple, a fruit that makes up 40 to 90% of its intake, rich in water and fiber, with natural properties that help fend off parasites. Its fruit-eating habits and long-distance roaming make it a key seed disperser, helping sustain the green heartbeat of the Cerrado. As an opportunistic predator, the maned wolf targets rodents, rabbits, ground-dwelling birds, reptiles, and insects. With its sharp hearing, it can tap the ground lightly to flush out hidden prey, then pounce forward, delivering a quick bite to the neck or back. But every hunt is a gamble of energy. Although classified as near threatened by the International Union for Conservation of Nature, several regions like Minas Gerais and São Paulo have reported significant population declines. In captivity, reproductive rates are low, with many females failing to reproduce even after pairing, posing challenges for recovery programs. However, at Emas National Park, where individuals are monitored via GPS, maned wolves living in near-pristine habitats are showing stable behaviors and positive interactions with the surrounding ecosystem. Grande Sertão Veredas National Park, spanning 230,853 hectares, is one of the most important biological core zones of the Cerrado. This survival oasis is also home to the ocelot, a wild cat with a striking spotted coat, once nicknamed the dwarf leopard. Their ancestors have roamed the Americas for 2 million years, and over thousands of generations, they've adapted to a wide range of environments. The ocelot has a body length of 70 to 100 centimeters, with a tail measuring 25 to 40 centimeters, and a coat marked by asymmetrical spots and stripes, like a biological fingerprint. White patches behind their ears create a false eye effect, making predators hesitate when approaching from behind. With their compact build, they slip effortlessly through dense shrubs and fallen trees, a silent shadow moving through the wild. As night falls, the ocelot begins to hunt. Though skilled climbers and capable swimmers, they prefer to ambush prey from the ground. With sharp hearing and keen vision, they go after rodents, hares, opossums, young armadillos, and even fish from shallow streams. Before eating, they meticulously remove fur or feathers from their prey, a rare habit among members of the cat family. Ocelots live solitary lives, except during the breeding season. Males control larger territories that overlap with those of multiple females, but they avoid direct confrontations with one another. After an 80-day pregnancy, the female gives birth to 1 or 2 kittens in a secluded spot, such as a tree hollow, dense grass patch, or rocky crevice near a stream. The kittens are born blind and remain close to their mother for nearly a year. When they're strong enough, the mother brings back live prey to help them practice hunting, preparing them for an independent life ahead. More than just a proud predator, the ocelot stands as a symbol of perfect adaptation. Each step it takes on the muddy ground of the veredas is a quiet whisper of life, resilient, silent, yet never fragile. Six times larger than the ocelot, the jaguar is the largest big cat in the Americas. It sits at the top of the food chain, a symbol of untamed power and a living testament to extraordinary adaptability in the face of harsh conditions. With a powerful build, male jaguars can weigh up to 96 kilograms and reach lengths of 1.7 meters, their compact muscular frame paired with a broad head and short but incredibly strong limbs. This anatomy gives them not only explosive strength, but also the most powerful bite of any big cat, pound for pound, surpassing even lions and tigers. Their jaws are strong enough to pierce the skull of a full-grown capybara or crush the shell of an Amazonian turtle. During the dry season, when food becomes scarce, this ability gives them a decisive edge, allowing access to a wider range of prey than other carnivores in the region. In the hazy glow of dusk along the Cerrado's water's edge, the jaguar presses low to the ground, silent as a shadow. Every muscle tightens in stillness. The hunt has begun. Unlike its relatives, such as the leopard or lion, which often go for the throat, the jaguar delivers a precise bite to the back of the skull or spine, piercing through thick bone. Its short, curved canines and immense jaw strength are the perfect tools for this ambush strategy, especially in places like dry season streams, where sound carries far. The prey has no idea that danger lies in wait beneath the low grass. As it lowers its head to drink, the jaguar strikes. A clean leap, claws gripping tight, a bite through the skull, an end in silence. If the prey escapes into the water, the jaguar follows. It's a strong swimmer, capable of diving deep, and has even been observed using its tail to stir the water and lure fish, showcasing rare flexibility and intelligence. Though primarily ground-dwelling, it can climb trees and launch attacks from above, an especially effective tactic during the dry season, when visibility across the landscape is wide open. The jaguar's coat features large, bold rosettes with central black spots, forming patterns so unique that no two individuals are exactly alike. Some jaguars carry a melanistic pigment known as black panthers, which still retain these rosette patterns, visible under angled light or in infrared photography. This reflects the genetic diversity of the species in the Cerrado region, where an unusually high proportion of melanistic individuals, about 40 to 44%, was reported in the latest 2024 data from the organization On Safari. Biologically, jaguars are solitary animals. They rarely encounter one another outside of the mating season. A male's territory can be twice the size of a female's, and often overlaps with the territories of several females, though rarely with those of other males. During the dry months, this spatial arrangement helps minimize conflict and optimize access to dwindling resources. They tend to be most active at dawn and dusk, times of low light, cooler temperatures, and when prey begins to stir. In addition, jaguars have a unique range of vocalizations, from dry, saw-like roars to soft chuffing sounds, often used in close communication, especially between a mother and her cubs or mating pairs. Historically, jaguars ranged from the southwestern United States all the way down to Argentina. However, they have since disappeared from many areas, including El Salvador and Uruguay. Today, they remain in about 19 countries, with strong populations in the Amazon and Pantanal, but still persist at low densities in the Cerrado, a transitional zone rich in biodiversity. Specifically, at Grande Cerrado Veredas National Park, the unique habitat conditions have helped sustain a stable jaguar population, with 26 to 31 individuals recorded between 2023 and 2024. Protecting this species carries meaning far beyond zoological value. In indigenous cultures, from the Aztec to the Maya, the jaguar has always been a symbol of power, divinity, and immortality. In the Cerrado, the image of a jaguar crossing moonlit waters during the dry season has become a living emblem of balance, a reminder that even in the harshest of landscapes, there exists a deeper order shaped by the Creator's hand. One of the jaguar's prey, the greater capybara, commonly known as the capybara, is the largest rodent in the world. Interestingly, in the 16th century, the Catholic Church classified the capybara as a fish, allowing followers to eat its meat during Lent. Today, this gentle creature even has its own day of recognition, Capybara Day, celebrated on July 10th, honoring it as a peaceful symbol of the natural world. Measuring 1 to 1.3 meters in length and weighing between 35 and 66 kilograms, the capybara is more than twice the size of the beaver, the second largest rodent. Its coarse golden brown fur and sturdy build conceal a body perfectly adapted for a semi-aquatic lifestyle. Short, webbed legs and eyes, ears and nostrils positioned high on the head, allowing it to stay submerged while still seeing and breathing. Capybaras can dive for up to 5 minutes, either to evade predators or to cool off when temperatures soar above 35 degrees Celsius. Though closely tied to water, capybaras are surprisingly agile on land, reaching speeds of up to 35 kilometers per hour when escaping danger. Their diet mainly consists of aquatic grasses, plant stems, and reeds, but when food is scarce, they make use of grains, wild squash, and melons. An adult can consume up to 3.6 kilograms of vegetation each day. Their digestive system features an enlarged cecum filled with millions of microorganisms that ferment cellulose. Capybaras chew cud while resting and practice coprophagy, eating a soft type of feces after initial digestion to maximize nutrient absorption. During the dry season, small groups of 10 to 20 capybaras often merge into herds of hundreds, led by a dominant male. Their social hierarchy is maintained through scent glands located on the nose and near the anus, as well as a rich vocal repertoire, including whistles, chirps, growls, and even barks. They frequently groom and remove parasites from one another, not just for cleanliness, but as a form of social bonding. Some individuals have even been observed standing on their hind legs and swaying, almost like dancing, after bathing or during positive social interactions. Capybaras are widely distributed across South America, from Colombia to Argentina, and are even found in Panama. In the veredas, they do more than simply survive. They actively support the ecosystem, selectively grazing to promote aquatic plant growth and serving as a key link in the food chain for jaguars, caimans, and snakes. Another large mammal enters the scene, this time the largest land animal in South America, the South American tapir. Also known as the Brazilian tapir in the Tupi language, it's called the Amazonian tapir, maned tapir, or lowland tapir in English, anta in Portuguese, and la sachavaca, literally bush cow, in a blend of Quechua and Spanish. Measuring between 1.8 and 2.5 meters in length and weighing from 150 to 320 kilograms, the tapir is equipped with a flexible trunk-like snout, formed from its upper lip and nose, that allows it to pluck fruit, forage for leaves in dense underbrush, or even act as a snorkel while submerged. In the sweltering dry season heat, often above 35 degrees Celsius, its ability to dive for minutes and move along riverbeds helps it evade predators and regulate body temperature. Despite its bulky frame, the tapir can move with surprising speed when threatened. This nocturnal animal follows stream banks in search of leaves, tender shoots, and even aquatic plants. Precious food sources when vegetation withers. Known as the gardeners of the rainforest, they help regenerate plant life by dispersing seeds through their droppings, especially throughout the veredas. Though their eyesight is poor, Brazilian tapirs have a highly developed sense of smell and hearing. They communicate and mark territory using scent trails from their bodies, urine, and facial glands. Their vocalizations include whistles, snorts, forceful breaths, and a distinctive clicking sound, a kind of secret language whispered through the forest. Tapirs live solitary lives, coming together only during the breeding season. Females carry a single calf after a pregnancy lasting up to 13 months. The newborn is covered in dark fur with white stripes and spots, like a tiny watermelon, providing natural camouflage under the forest canopy. They stay with their mother for 12 to 18 months, learning to swim, dive, and survive. But this also means the population regenerates slowly and is especially vulnerable to rapid environmental change. According to the International Union for Conservation of Nature, the Brazilian tapir is currently listed as vulnerable, at risk due to deforestation, agricultural expansion, hunting, and habitat fragmentation. In the Cerrado, the conversion of forested land into soybean plantations and grazing pastures over the past 20 years has led to a sharp decline in veredas habitats. However, at Grande Sertão Veredas National Park, this species still has a chance at survival. The park's network of underground springs, wetlands, and year-round green buriti vegetation provides a cool, moist refuge throughout the dry season. an ideal environment for their continued existence. In contrast to the tapir's somewhat smooth appearance, the Brazilian three-banded armadillo, also known as tatu bola, is one of only 2 armadillo species in the world that can curl itself into a completely closed ball thanks to its natural suit of armor. This species unexpectedly stepped into the global spotlight when it became the official mascot of the FIFA World Cup 2014 under the name Fuleco, a blend of the words futebol, meaning soccer, and ecologia, meaning ecology. Measuring only 23 to 27 centimeters in length and weighing between 1 to 1.6 kilograms, about the size of a small watermelon, the tatu bola's biological design is a masterpiece of evolution. 3 flexible bands between 2 tough armor plates allow it to roll itself up, using its short tail to seal off its soft underbelly, transforming into a seamless armored ball. No teeth or claws can easily pierce through it. The tatu bola feeds on ants and termites, using its long, sticky tongue and strong claws to break into termite mounds and ant nests. Though its eyesight is poor, its sense of smell is incredibly sharp, helping it sniff out prey and stay clear of hunters like the jaguar and the puma. It is active in the early morning and late afternoon and rests at night in shallow burrows or abandoned dens. Unlike other armadillo relatives, it does not dig deep on its own. According to the International Union for Conservation of Nature in 2024, there are currently only between 1,000 and 1,800 mature individuals remaining in the wild. Once widespread across Bahia, Piauí, and Tocantins, they are now found in stable numbers in just a few places, including Grande Sertão Veredas National Park and the private natural heritage reserve, Mata do Junco. Major threats include deforestation, hunting, and domestic dogs. With an extremely low reproductive rate, only 1 offspring per year, the Brazilian three-banded armadillo cannot rebuild its population fast enough to keep up with its decline. But for that very reason, it serves as a sensitive biological indicator, reflecting the overall health of the ecosystem. In the Veredas region, where the soil is loose, shade is plentiful, and termite mounds abound, this area becomes a final refuge for the species during the dry season. Unlike armadillos that live burrowed underground, the South American coati often climbs trees like a bold little explorer of Grande Sertão Veredas National Park. Also known as the ring-tailed coati or brown-nosed coati, it is a close relative of the raccoon. Measuring about 85 to 113 centimeters in length, with the tail making up nearly half of that, and weighing between 2 to 7.2 kilograms, the coati stands out with its long, curved and flexible snout. Once called coatim, meaning curled nose, in the ancient Tupi-Guarani language. Its curved claws help it dig, pry at roots, flip over stones, and climb with ease. A unique ability to rotate its ankles allows it to descend head first, a rare trait among mammals. The coati is active during the day, foraging when the weather is cooler. With its ultra-sensitive nose, it sweeps the ground like a living detector, searching for scorpions, insects, bird eggs, fallen fruit, and even animal remains. Individuals living near the Veredas streams often climb low trees to pick fruit. Female coatis live in bands of 10 to 30 individuals, usually made up of mothers and their young. Adult males live alone, joining the group only during the mating season before going off on their own again. Within the band, female coatis show a strong spirit of cooperation. They care for the young, keep watch, and share information through sounds and body language. They use clicking noises, soft woofs, and gentle hissing sounds to stay in touch and alert one another to nearby trouble. The breeding season begins at the end of the rainy season, when fruit is most abundant. After a pregnancy of about 77 days, the female coati builds a nest in a tree and gives birth to between 2 and 7 young. The babies stay in the nest for about 5 weeks before rejoining the band. Females usually remain with their mother's group, while males leave around their 3rd year and begin a solitary life from then on. As a highly adaptable omnivore, the coati helps control insect populations, spreads seeds, and plays a vital role in maintaining the lower layers of the ecosystem. A role that becomes especially important during the dry season, when food chains are more fragile. Although not yet classified as globally at risk, coatis are declining in southern Brazil due to deforestation and conflicts with humans. If faced with a threat, which strategy would you choose? Curling up like the armadillo or climbing a tree like the coati? When the first rains fall over the Cerrado between late September and early October, they mark the end of the long dry season and the beginning of a new cycle of life. The scent of damp earth fills the air, signaling the return of water and the start of the breeding season. This shift sets off a cascade of ecological responses throughout the Cerrado ecosystem. Studies have shown that during the transitional period from the dry season to the rainy season, from September to November, as much as 68.4% of all collected insects appear. This triggers a chain of ecological events, from the growth of vegetation to a surge in insect populations and the onset of reproductive activity among many animal species. In the upper canopy of the Cerrado forests, it's not just insects that rush back to life. Creatures with showy appearances also embark on their own survival journeys. Among them is the toco toucan, a bird of striking beauty with fiery orange tones and a bold contrast of black and white feathers, like a vivid living painting. As the largest toucan species in South America, the toco toucan carries with it a strange and wonderfully inventive biological design. Its bill, which can reach up to 19 centimeters in length, may look like a burden, but it's surprisingly light. Made of spongy keratin tissue supported by a hollow bone structure, the bill plays a key role in regulating body temperature, a process known in science as thermoregulation. When temperatures rise during the seasonal transition, blood flow to the bill increases to release heat. Conversely, when night falls, the blood is redirected to retain warmth. This is one of the most efficient cooling systems ever recorded in birds, comparable to the heat-dispersing ability of an African elephant's ears. The arrival of the rainy season also signals the start of the breeding season. Fruit becomes abundant, followed by a surge in insect populations, an essential nutritional boost for the toco toucan during its nesting period. Its diet isn't limited to guava or fig. During this time, it readily hunts insects, small lizards, and even eggs and baby birds. This protein-rich food is crucial for nourishing the eggs and supporting the growth of the young in the nest. The toco toucan does not build its own nest. It typically takes over old tree cavities, especially former woodpecker nests or natural hollows formed over time. The eggs, white in color and usually numbering between 2 and 4, are incubated in turns by both parents for about 2 weeks. When they hatch, the chicks are bare, without feathers, and their iconic beak is still tiny and undeveloped. But day by day, they grow under the devoted care of their parents, gradually cloaked in thick feathers and developing that vibrant orange beak, like a little sunrise blooming in the heart of the Cerrado. With a total length ranging from 55 to 65 centimeters, the toko toucan is not a long-distance migratory bird. However, when food becomes scarce or certain areas dry out, it tends to move within a limited range in search of richer vegetation. This type of movement, known as ecological nomadism, allows the bird to make the most of short-term resources without having to leave the Cerrado ecosystem. From a distance, the toko toucan looks like a living exclamation mark against the backdrop of a rejuvenating landscape. Its tree-dwelling lifestyle and tendency to live in pairs or small groups help it avoid predators, but also make it highly dependent on a habitat that consistently provides suitable forest canopy. Beyond its role as a skillful fruit eater, the toko toucan is also a vital link in the Cerrado's recovery chain after the dry season. By eating and dispersing seeds, it helps young trees take root in new areas. These birds can boost the carbon storage capacity of tropical forests by as much as 38% by carrying seeds to degraded regions, supporting the natural regeneration of forest ecosystems. While many bird species begin their breeding season, a burst of insect life emerges, as if ready to play starring roles in the grand drama of survival. It's also the moment when a strange predator steps onto the stage, the giant anteater, a creature that looks as if it wandered out of a prehistoric era. Slow-moving, solitary, yet perfectly adapted to the ever-changing world around it. Measuring 1.8 to 2.1 meters in length and weighing around 40 to 50 kilograms, this is one of the largest ant-eating mammals in the world. What makes it remarkable isn't sharp teeth or fierce claws, but a tongue that can stretch up to 60 centimeters, flicking out up to 150 times per minute, coated with glue-like saliva to scoop up around 140 insects in a single feeding. It doesn't rely on stomach acid for digestion. Instead, it makes use of the formic acid from its prey, swallowing soil and sand to help grind the insects down, much like birds do with grit. Its hit-and-retreat strategy allows termite mounds to recover, ensuring a long-term food supply, an intelligent hunting behavior that helps maintain ecological balance. The giant anteater isn't just slow and steady. When needed, it can sprint up to 48 kilometers per hour, rear up on its hind legs, and deliver powerful swipes with the long, curved claw on its middle toe for defense. Its distinctive way of walking, on its knuckles, helps protect those claws, while its large, bushy tail drapes behind like a thick blanket. Though it has poor eyesight and hearing, its sense of smell is about 40 times stronger than a human's, allowing it to detect insect nests from a distance. This species lives alone, pairing only during the mating season. The young ride on their mother's back for nearly a year, camouflaged by fur that blends in perfectly with hers, making them harder to spot. As a specialist predator of ants and termites, two groups that make up a significant part of dryland ecosystems, the giant anteater acts like an ecological caretaker, helping maintain the soil layer, control pest populations, and prevent invasive termite species from overwhelming young plant roots. It moves quietly through each rainy season, holding a vital, irreplaceable role in the ecological symphony of the Cerrado. In places where termite mounds are torn open by anteaters, or where flocks of colorful birds return to the canopy to build their nests, another large creature chooses a quieter path for survival. That is the boa constrictor, one of the great snakes of the Cerrado, non-venomous, yet equipped with a hunting strategy that is remarkably efficient and calculated. The boa constrictor is one of the most ancient reptile species, having evolved and adapted over millions of years. The oldest known members of the Boidae family date back to the late Cretaceous period, showing that the ancestors of this species once lived alongside dinosaurs. Modern individuals typically measure between 3 to 4 meters in length, with some females exceeding 4.2 meters and weighing up to 27 kilograms. Its glossy scales, marked with patterns of brown, burgundy, and silvery gray, stretch along its body like a natural camouflage map. Designed perfectly to blend into the moist forest canopy or the dry grasses of tropical plains. One distinctive feature is its vertical, cat-like pupils, a trait common in nocturnal species, and the small pits between its lip scales. Specialized heat-sensing organs that allow the boa constrictor to see the body heat of its prey, even in complete darkness. As night falls over the Cerrado and rodents begin to emerge from their nests in search of food, the snake lies motionless, like a piece of rotting wood amid fallen leaves, silently waiting. Its strategy isn't to chase, but to ambush. Once it locks onto its prey, often rodents, opossums, small birds, or even large lizards, it strikes with surprising speed. Hundreds of sharp, curved teeth angled inward latch onto the prey, followed by the powerful tightening of its muscular coils. The victim doesn't pass due to broken bones, but rather from suffocation and blood loss, as circulation is cut off. A 2024 study from the University of São Paulo found that the pressure exerted by a boa constrictor can reach up to 90 millimeters of mercury, nearly equal to human blood pressure, but is sustained until the prey is completely still. After swallowing its prey whole, sometimes twice the size of its own head, the boa constrictor retreats into a leaf nest or rock crevice to digest. Its slow metabolism allows it to survive for weeks, even months, without needing another meal. This makes it a highly strategic hunter, one that doesn't disrupt its habitat, taking only what it needs to survive.